Good morning and welcome to FC Barcelona President Josep Maria Bartomeu's annual assessment of the club. This press conference will end at 1 p.m. at the latest. And whoever has the floor can ask whatever question they would like. According to the topics that we will be discussing. Please, one question, maximum two, so that we can let everybody participate. And when you ask your question, please state your name and the media outlet you are representing. And without further ado, I think it's time to begin. Let's go.
Qui comença?
Who's first?
Albert? Fem-ho així. Albert Llimós, aquí, sisplau. Aquí.
Here. Go ahead.
Albert Llimós, diari Ara, per trencar el gel. Si me'n permet dues, de diferent àmbit.
If I can ask two questions in different areas. The first is about the action of responsibility that was discussed last Sunday. One of the things that was said is that the ex-directors said that everything would be ended if the appeal would be dropped. Why doesn't Barca drop this appeal? And the second, have you had any contact with Lionel Messi and his people about his contract renewal? Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to this press conference before the year ends. In relation to the first question, we said it in the assembly the other day. We took the first step. We would like to close this case. The first step we've taken. If we have to drop this appeal, it will be done according to the way it has to be done. I said it in the assembly, and other people have spoken about this. We're open to speaking about this and continuing to discuss the situation. And we all have to get together and decide about the case to drop this appeal. The door is open to everybody to speak, so I don't rule out anything in the coming days, and if that's everyone's desire, we can discuss it. Today or tomorrow? Talking about the appeal regard to the directors, we would like to close these cases. This is just one of them, and we're open to speaking about this, evidently. Of course, if we're going to speak about this, we have 11 directors that have to be there. The club and Zurich and 11 directors. Everybody's involved. So if there's any proposal, there has to be a consensus. The second question. With regard to Leo Messi, I think that we've been talking about this for a few days. We would like him to end his career as a Barca player. Without getting into the nitty-gritty, we hope that we can announce this at some point, because I think Barca wants this, and I think Leo wants this too. He's happy here in Barca. This is his club. It has been for many years. And he's Catalan. He's from our academy system. He represents an incredible story that can be inspirational for children in the future. And we would like him to do that, and we think he will stay at the club for the rest of his career. Leo Messi and Barca go together. He's the best player, we're the best club. We are all around the world. We are international. We're opening offices and building Barca with the Trident and Piqué and Iniesta and these other players is spectacular. And Messi, unquestionably, is the best player of all time. And we would like him to be with us. We will make an effort, without question. This is his home.
Digueu, sisplau, el nom i mitjà.
Please, your name and the media outlet you are representing.
Perdona.
A microphone, please.
Hola, bon dia, president. Ignasi Oliva per Goal.com.
Goal.com. This season, in talking about sponsorship agreements for the club, we're looking at incredible figures that have never been seen before. In this increase in budget, is there a problem with that with regard to FIFA? How does that play into the renewal of Lionel Messi? Is that good news that you have more money to spend now, and why? I think everybody wants the club to grow, which means earn more money, more income, have more resources. Manel Arroyo and Francesco Calvo have explained this before. We are getting key sponsors for the club, and that's our objective. But when we get this money, we want to invest it in football, in the club, in projects like the FCB Universitas, a lot of other projects. And we want to do all of them. We would like to do all of them. But we need resources for that. One of them is players. Not just football, but for other sports, professional sports. We need the money. But in talking about salary caps and players, FIFA doesn't have an obligation. They have a recommendation. That's about, we are about 60% of that. But it's something that the board of directors decides based on the income that we have. More income means more money and more resources, and that helps us to sign players. There's Lionel Messi, but we have other players like Ter Stegen, Rakitic, and even Iniesta. And we have to speak with them at some point. There's not just a window to do renewals. We have all year to do it. And they know that. And it helps to get more income. We're a team in the end. Players, coaches, professionals, executives, and directors. And we have to do a good job and make life as easy as we can for everybody. More resources will help everybody. We are on the right path. We're looking forward to 2021. That's when we're trying to arrive to €1 billion in income. It's not just a number that we've thrown out there. The idea is that with €1 billion, we can do the projects that we want, not just the ones that are related to football. Everything that's interesting. Espy Barca, Masia 360, FCB Universitas, which is important. And agreements in the United States, in China, in England, here in Catalonia. It's a big project, and I don't think we understand fully what this could be in 10 or 15 years. And we want Barca to be the center of sports knowledge in the world. That's what we want. And for that, we need resources. Happy holidays. Two questions. Question about Messi, seeing him the other day, what he did against Espanyol. Isn't it just ridiculous that they give the Ballon d'Or to Cristiano Ronaldo? Second, about Luis Enrique. We've heard that he won't negotiate his contract until the end of the season. Do you think that that's good for the club to wait until May to find out whether or not he wants to re-sign? And is the club worried? I'll respond to the second question first, because it's not a leak. I said it myself recently. I think I answered a question to your colleague from BN Sports that's sitting next to you in relation to a question about Qatar. We were talking about April and May when we would talk about the coach. Now we're focused on the Copa del Rey tomorrow. The league will return after vacations, and in February, the Champions League. But at some point, we will talk about Luis Enrique. Of course, we would like him to continue. It's not just my opinion. I think that's what most, if not all, Barca fans think. Luis Enrique, over these seasons, has brought tremendous success. And it's not just him and the team and the other coaches. We would love all of them to continue. But first, we have to compete. And going to the first question, it's not what I say. I think many people have said this around the world. The Ballon d'Or should be for Lionel Messi every year. He's the best player in the history in world football. He has been for many years. We have seen his success on and off the field. And the way he is, it's very difficult that there's another Leo Messi in the future. Hopefully another player will come along like him on our club. But he's the greatest player. It's not just my opinion. If you read, you can see that many people believe this. Not just people in our club, not just journalists that follow Barca. When you travel around the world and you hear what the media have to say, sports media, and even non-sports media. Messi has transcended the sports world, not just because of football, because of his values, the way he is. He's an example for many children around the world, young players who learn to play football, and they see a mirror image of themselves. Quique Sanchez Flores said it not too long ago, just 2 days ago, here in this room, that the general feeling in football is that he's the best ever, and that he's the best. So there are other great players in football, but the number one is Messi.
Bon dia, president. Josep Soldado, para Tres Media. Un parell de preguntes. Al hilo de Luis Enrique...
Talking about Luis Enrique, is there a plan B if he doesn't want to renew his contract? No, I said before, we want him to renew, and it's what everybody wants. We want to continue this magnificent cycle that the club began in 2004, and he's helping us continue this winning cycle. He's won many titles, and he's made a lot of Barca fans very happy. Of course we want him to continue. And about the renewal of Lionel Messi, what do you expect from the negotiations? Will they be difficult? You haven't had any meetings about this yet? Will there be any barriers to this? I can't talk about that right now. We haven't had any meetings. We're generally very discreet about these things, not just renewals, but when we're talking about other players, we always try to be discreet so that the transactions can be completed more easily. When we have to, we will talk about this, but we have expressed the will of the club. It's not just the club. It's Luis Enrique, it's all the Barca fans, and the world of football. People that love football want Messi to continue playing for Barca. He helps us continue to be the best and to win, and you know that's the way he is. He's the number one, he's the best. Barcelona TV. A question about the Esteladas, the Catalan independence flags at Camp Nou, and the dispute with UEFA. Could you comment on that and what may happen. Well, with this agreement, we are very satisfied because we said at the time that there was a legal path to deal with this situation, and we are on the case, and there's also a diplomatic path. Both are good, and we're happy because the diplomatic channel has worked, speaking, discussing. UEFA has decided to modify this article of their rules, which means that the freedom of expression will be guaranteed. And we've also had incredible people, we've spoken with incredible people from UEFA that have been open. And we believe that Barca fans will be able to say what they want, express themselves freely without insulting people, without violence. But we've always said that we'll defend freedom of expression. So that's why we're happy with this agreement. We will drop our appeal on this case, and we hope that in the coming days or weeks that they will modify this article. But everybody should be relaxed going into the stadium, that there won't be disciplinary problems simply for expressing themselves freely. So we're very happy with UEFA's move on this point. You were getting ready to ask a second question? I also wanted to ask about Leo Messi. The effort that you said you will make. So does that mean Leo Messi will be the best paid player of the team and in the world? Can you talk about the effort that you will make? No. The effort will be to try to convince him, but I think he's convinced that he's in the best team. He's a Barca player. He feels Barca in his heart. And so the effort, when I say that, I mean to sit down and talk with his agents and his attorneys. But I think that he's convinced that he couldn't be in a better place. So we are too, not just him. As directors, we're very happy because Barca is the best player in the world. There are no doubts among the players or the coaches. When we talk to people, everybody's enchanted with the club. Not just the people who work here, the executives and the directors. And I think Leo Messi has that inside him, that there shouldn't be any problem. But of course, there will be work that we have to do, which is normal. And there's always a little bit of movement there. But I don't want to talk about numbers, because in the end, if he's the best player in the world, he should be the best in the world in all aspects. But that's something we will have to talk about later. Talking about numbers and conditions, that's all I have to say right now. Onda Cero, half of the questions seem to be going about Leo Messi. So I want to ask about the responsibility you have as a president. You're at the head of the club at probably the best era in team history. You're obligated to make sure Messi retires as a Barca player, and also the same thing related to an emblematic player like Iniesta. Messi, Iniesta, Busquets, Piqué. There's so many players who have made Barca so great, and there are new ones like Neymar and Suarez, and Dennis Suarez, Umtiti, newer players. Other players are still arriving that are helping us, contributing to our great team and our place in history, in football history. But in looking at the growth, the evolution of this cycle, there are players that have always been there, and they're Iniesta and Messi. Iniesta started in 2004, Messi in 2006. So we would like, we've said before, we'll have to also sit down with Andres. He still has time left on his contract, but without doubt, he's one of the players that we would love to have retire here. I don't know. I think recently, in the last few years, in talking about the players who left us, they were fundamental. Xavi and Puyol, they weren't very important in the club, and they had proper exits, glorious exits that they deserved. I think that they went through the door that corresponded to them because of their greatness. We have to do what makes us feel happy and what makes us feel proud, because things are done so well. We win games and sometimes we don't, but they give it all out on the field, and they're great players, and we enjoy watching them play. A few days ago, in talking to players that weren't Barca fans, and they said, we see these games, and we said, what a shame that they only are 90 minutes long. Barca is doing these things out in the world for several years, and Messi and Andres Iniesta are fundamental in that. The second question, Barca has had a treble, a double. Are you looking for another treble this year? Every year. Guardiola got us used to that. Luis Enrique did it again with the treble, and every year we're looking to win the treble. We think that we have a great team, and they have to try and win everything. It's very difficult to have that kind of success, but we need to get to as many finals as we can and win and compete till the very last second. But we are a little spoiled here. Guardiola's era gave us almost everything, and Luis Enrique, it began with Rijkaard, all the way through to Luis Enrique. We are fairly spoiled, but we love it. And looking back at the agreement for responsibility that was spoken about the other day, do you think that it could cause more problems with the group of ex-directors? And in talking about the group of Real Madrid players that are starting to be looked at by the Spanish tax agency, can you comment on that and in relation to the cases with Barca? And looking at Barca, we have to do what's good for Barca. We're going to go with the first decision. There are not winners or losers. I think for Barca, and thinking about this collectively, went well. Surely there are people that think differently. But during these years, President José approved a statutory change, and we have a debt limit in function of operating income. But we're open to talking about these things. We don't want to have this case open. We would like to close the case. I think that now's the time. And I think that everybody here at Barca feels the same way. I think around 90% voted in favor of closing this case. We want to take this off the table and close it up for good. I hope that we can speak about this in the coming days and weeks so that we don't have to put ourselves in another situation with a decision that we don't like with the courts. I think that this is what we've done. This is the time to do this. And I think if we speak about everything in a relaxed way, we can solve everything. But it's not just a one-way street. There are 11 other directors that have to talk about this, and I would like to talk with them and discuss this situation because they're also important in these decisions. Talking about the Spanish tax agency, I've said this many times. I've told you this many times. This insecurity, this legal limbo that Barca's been in.
de molts equips i que en diu que n'ha
There are a lot of other players from other teams that have been involved. But the tax agency has changed criteria. They have not been consistent.
Més que dels jugadors, dels seus agents i dels seus assessors fiscals.
I think I'd like to support the players and their agents and their advisors, their tax advisors. It's not that everybody has made these huge mistakes. There are a lot of people that the tax agency has investigated. I think that we have to be serious, and if they have to change the rules, but they can't interpret the rules differently, going backwards, retroactively, because
amb els assessors fiscals dels jugadors i farem les modificacions que pertoqui.
It makes everything more difficult for the players, the clubs, and their agents.
Els jugadors que venen a jugar a la Lliga
The players who come to play in La Liga,
puguin venir tranquil·lament.
they need to be relaxed that when they say things have to be done a certain way, that they do it that way. And when they change the rules, then you have to change how you do things. And we've had problems with this, with Leo Messi.
No té cap sentit.
But it doesn't make any sense.
El judici que li han fet a Leo Messi,
What they did to Leo Messi, what was said in the press about this case,
l'acusaven, no tenen cap sentit.
what he was accused of, didn't make any sense. He's a football player,
18, 19 anys va firmar
and when he was 18, 19 years old, he signed a contract, and his agents and his tax advisors took care of these things.
no dic del Leo, de qualsevol.
And I'm not talking about Leo and these other players who play.
Tenen diferents assessors, o sigui, són
They all have different advisors, hundreds of advisors, tax advisors and agents
com creien que es podia fer.
who do this work according to the enforced laws. I don't think that everybody makes these big mistakes. I just don't believe it.
Jurídica, i jo ho hem dit, ho hem demanat abans,
Now, this is a legal situation.
a través, evidentment, d'altres organismes.
It has to be taken care of through the league, through other organs. We have to find a way to make a set of rules that everybody can comply with.
Evidentment que han de...
And everybody, the players, have to make the changes that they have to make. Everybody has to pay taxes,
I sempre la mateixa.
but the rules should always be the same.
D'aquell moment en endavant.
And when they change, from there forward, but it can't be applied retroactively into the past.
Demano això.
So that's what I ask.
Com diria jo, és una mica parlar de...
It's like,
Analitzem els jugadors, no ho fem, sisplau.
it's
Som
like,
futbolistes.
I don't want to
Estic segur que molts de vostès
talk bad about the players. Let's not
que estan aquí...
accuse the players.
Fiscals, tots n'hem tingut, i no
Everybody's had problems with
que això és culpa nostra,
their financial advisors.
ens hem equivocat. O
People do make mistakes. We've made mistakes before too.
La interpretació era una altra. Però d'aquí a criminalitzar...
But to criminalize and sentence people to jail, like in Leo Messi's case,
important,
for innocent mistakes on their taxes, I think the important thing is that we're here to support Leo. Everybody knows it. It was incredibly unfair, specifically in Leo's case. There are other players
la Lliga,
who are also going through this, both in the first and the second division.
si parleu amb altres,
And when we talk to other players and their agents,
perquè no saben
people are having problems because they don't know what to do, because the rules are constantly changing.
tots igual i els seguim igual. Al final els clubs no tenim cap més obligació, evidentment, que fer-ho bé amb
We want everybody to do things the right way,
els seus agents i amb els seus assessors fiscals.
and it has to be discussed with the players and their tax advisors and agents. That's what we're in favor of.
Bon dia, president. Tornarà a Leo Messi, però en relació amb això que comentava ara,
I'm talking about Leo Messi, but going back to this other issue that you were just talking about,
la renovació de Messi depèn de factors que no només són
in
l'esforç
talking about the renewal of Messi's contract,
ganes que tingui Messi de
is it
continuar al Barça. I d'altra banda,
more than just about
això, si avui
the club being motivated or Messi?
a finals d'any és més optimista
And in looking towards the end of the year,
la continuïtat de Messi que ho era fa uns mesos.
are you more optimistic now about Messi's renewal than a few months ago? I'm always optimistic about re-signing Leo Messi. He loves our club. I said it before. He loves the city.
Més d'un culer, un català més... i
He's another Catalan
crec que és
here. He feels more very comfortable.
tant a la Barcelona, ciutat, a Catalunya i al Barça.
He's part of the city, the culture, and our country. I don't think that he will leave it.
No, jo crec que el Leo Messi no...
I don't think
Les raons que té bàsicament poden ser
that there are reasons for him to leave.
sensacions personals.
There could be
Que algun dia pensi doncs, quan ha de ser el
reasons related to sports,
però encara li queda tants anys
but I think that there's so many years left that these fiscal issues don't affect him. He knows
que ell no ha fet res malament.
And we all know that he hasn't done anything wrong.
Va dir un
I said it
canvi
before.
ell ho feia d'una manera, i
The tax agency changes the rules and how they apply them.
com ell, com altres jugadors, els hi ha passat. Però d'aquí
And it's not just him, but other players.
té provisionalment un tema de
But-
presó de mesos,
But to talk about prison
però no influeix.
provisionally,
No influeix.
come on. It doesn't influence the situation. He's happy.
Contra
If you just saw the game he played against Espanyol, he's very happy with his teammates, his team, the club.
És un Leo Messi que sembla ser que no para, no?, de créixer,
He's the Leo Messi we've always known and who keeps growing.
seguint ajudant el Barça a ser un dels grans clubs de...
And we hope he continues helping Barca be one of the best clubs in the world.
Perdoni que insisteixi en el tema de Leo Messi.
I have to insist on the Leo Messi
Una miqueta
issue. It's a little surprising
certa tibiesa amb la que no pot confirmar que el jugador es vulgui quedar. Diu, creo que Leo quiere seguir.
that you can't confirm. You have to keep saying that I think, I believe,
Però la pregunta
as if it's your opinion.
Crec que
Come on.
nosaltres algun cop ja us ho he dit. Que
Come on, I've told you guys.
fa temps va dir
Uh,
Barça serà el meu únic club a Europa.
he said himself not long ago that Barca will be the only club for his whole life.
jo li faig, president, és
No, but the question I ask you is,
creo,
when you say, I believe,
opinió. És a dir, el
that's your
jugador
opinion.
en cap moment
So the player has never said to you at any time that he wants to continue with Barca? No, I've told you many times. We don't talk about the specific conversations we have with the player and their agents.
Discreció, la prudència de les converses, no?
We're about discretion, being prudent.
Intenta ser un lloc tancat,
The dressing room and our discussions are private,
directiva, doncs intentem que
and also within the board of directors.
parla amb jugadors o amb directius, doncs també formi
The
part del
things that we talk about,
club, no? Però, per tant, per això ho dic. No. Jo he dit abans, ho he dit fa molts dies.
I said it before, not too long ago. I don't doubt at all that
No, tibiesa ni una.
he will be very happy to continue
Com jugava,
here at Barca.
està plenament motivat i engrescat.
He's motivated,
Els jugadors
and he's ready to go.
molt fixats en la competició.
Don't forget that everybody's focused on competing right now. The players want to win,
Però ells són els protagonistes, no? Són els que...
and they're the protagonists. They're the ones who bring us this level of success.
Estem jugant cada cop
The team is playing better
millor.
every game.
Queden molts mesos.
There's a long way to go still.
Tema tot. Per això ara si li preguntes a un
But if you ask
diràs, escolta, jo estic pel
a player right now this type of question, they're going to say, hey, I'm focused on this game, the next game. No.
Aquí, buen día,
I'm not
presidente,
worried.
Cabezas del diario El Mundo. El Barça ha sido condenado como persona jurídica por el caso Neymar.
Barca was sentenced as
Le quería preguntar por qué
a legal
hasta el final su-
individual for the Neymar case.
y si en el caso que
And
está abierto en la Audiencia Nacional.
Can you talk about
similar a
Neymar's innocence in this case and what was agreed to?
En el tema Neymar 1, que és
In looking at the Neymar case,
conformamos una
agreed.
posibilidad, pero el hecho de que en el
We
2013 había aspectos fiscales, bueno, pues que el club se había equivocado. Ya lo
admitted that we had made a mistake.
fue una razón de entre una posible sentencia favorable de 0 euros y otra mucho más alta, pues optamos por pactar los 5,5.
We had to make a plea bargain to conform with this.
Totalmente es definitiva.
And it's definitive.
Creo que hace unos pocos
I
días.
think just a few days ago, the judge signed it, so that's finished. The second Neymar situation, that's a completely different story. That is a complaint filed by a Brazilian company involving Santos against Barca, the board of directors.
Se pelea con una empresa brasileña. Se pelean en Brasil, ¿no? Pero bueno.
Well, that's taking place in Brazil.
Porque aquí ellos reclaman, creo,
but it's a different situation.
conceptos de un dinero que se pagó.
It's about money that Barca paid to Santos,
Pues que una parte debería ser para
and that there should have been a certain part
muy claro.
of the money for them.
Conforma y acepta que los 40 millones del
In the first,
pues han salido del juego.
in this case, Barca agreed
Son Neymar 2,
a certain quantity with the father,
en todos los
but in the second case,
con esa conformidad al caso Neymar 1. Ahora está en manos de un juez.
We are,
Acusaciones tanto del fiscal como de la empresa
it's
DIF.
before a judge,
Pues en los próximos,
and
semanas,
in the coming days or coming weeks or when it's convenient,
fijará fecha de-
there will be a trial date set.
que no pensamos que se haya hecho nada incorrectamente.
There's nothing really to defend because we don't think he's done anything. Of course, we're going to defend him. We don't think he's done anything wrong.
Se fichan,
Like a lot of players throughout the world
siempre hay
are signed. There's not much difference. Agents get paid, teams get paid.
aquí no hay ningún pacto porque no.
There's no
No puede ser que
agreement to talk about
pactemos algo diferente ahora cuando habíamos hecho el Nightmare 1, que es una
because we don't know.
cosa. Nos quedamos,
This is different from the other situation.
que los 40 millones son salario del jugador.
In case one, for Neymar, we agreed,
Multa fiscal.
and we agreed to a fine.
Marcel?
Marcel Lorente pels 5 concessiones. En 10 dies sobre el mercat de fitxatges. Voldria saber si es descarta fer alguna sortida.
The winter transfer market opens up in a few days.
Per cobrir alguna necessitat.
Does Barca need to get a player? Is Barca looking for a player, and is there money to sign one?
Si ho féssim, no podria explicar-ho.
If we're going to, I can't explain it, and if we're not going to, I wouldn't tell you either way.
I sempre estar atent al mercat.
The idea is that we should always be involved in the market and be open. I don't want to close doors.
Una altra cosa és si fem o no fem una cosa, i la feina és nostra.
Our job
Què passa al mercat?
is to look at the market, analyze the market, see if there's somebody out there who could help us. But there's also an economic side to it as well.
Els recursos il·limitats.
We don't have unlimited resources. So it's a mix of
La
things.
taula de la directiva no ha arribat, vull que ho sàpiga, no ha arribat cap
But
de res.
this topic has not come before the board yet. And the idea is that the technical secretary is to follow the market. And right now, there's nothing
I l'altra pregunta
to
és,
confirm either way.
hi ha un escàndol que li retallessin o li traiessin la sanció al Real Madrid pel tema de
Do you think it would be scandalous for the FIFA sanction to be dropped from Madrid for the same reason that you were sanctioned?
No tinc cap constància.
I don't know. I can't really answer that.
Notícia, nosaltres no parlem.
I don't know anything about that news.
És cert que tampoc depèn de la FIFA,
But
TAS, no? Que és el Tribunal d'Arbitratge de
in looking at
Esport de Lausanne,
the
l'entitat que, igual com va passar amb el Barça,
International Court of Arbitration for Sport,
continua en aquest aspecte aquest procés.
the
Jo
process
torno a dir, que ho vaig
is
dir
continuing.
quan el Barça el van sancionar,
I'll say it again, and I said it when Barca was sanctioned. I don't agree.
excessiva.
I think it was excessive
En el Barça,
for Barca. I'm talking about
i he fet.
because of what Barca did. I think it was an excessive punishment.
En aquest aspecte no puc aportar res més.
But I can't really give you anything else because I don't have information from the Court of Arbitration for Sport
Van al TAS per aquest tema.
with regard to that issue.
Aquí a la dreta, Joan Domènech, del Periódico.
Hola, Joan Domènech del Periódico. En el cas Neymar 1, el Barça en el seu dia va fer una autoliquidació de...
In the first Neymar issue,
I després va
Barca
presentar el pacte de
paid
comptabilitat
13 million
dels delictes fiscals,
euros, admitted
una multa de 5,5 milions.
culpability, and paid a fine
Les pèrdues de 18
of
milions.
several million
Afegit de 18 milions.
euros, which looks like a loss of 18 million
Es mereixerien una acció de responsabilitat
euros.
amb una situació d'aquestes.
What can you say about
No exactament aquestes.
that? No, those are not the numbers. Sorry. Those are not the numbers. In 2014,
Tant temps, el Barça va fer
Barca
a compte de
had to pay 13.5 million euros to the Spanish tax agency.
d'aquests 13,5, la sentència final que el Barça ha conformat no era,
And
era menys. No me'n recordo.
then
però
it ended up being
al voltant de 9 o 10.
not 13.5 million, but 9.
Aquests 3,5
So
ja ha servit per la multa de
3.5 million
afegit, em sembla que un pagament de...
had already been put out there, and so what we're really talking about is
Els 9 milions
$1.5 million or 1,750,000.
era una retenció.
But the money that Barca paid was not a fine.
Es pot recuperar-la a Brasil.
It was
Conveni
a fiscal retention.
entre Espanya i Brasil. El que sí és cert que el Barça té una multa de 5,5. Això sí.
What's true is that Barca did have a fine, but it didn't up the cost of Neymar. The money that was withheld was for the double taxation agreement between Brazil and Spain.
D'aquesta multa, d'aquesta condemna, són 5,5.
So 5.5 million is the total of what we paid in a fine for this issue. Susana Monge appeared not too long ago and said that the cost of signing the player, because we have a lot of numbers that we're talking about,
Jo ja assumeixo que soc de lletres,
de lletres.
and I have to assume that they're correct, yes?
Més números, però sí que és veritat que
But it's true. It's not easy to talk about this issue. There's a lot of confusion, but the numbers in the audit, the actual cost of Neymar's signing, we said was 57 million. Now it's 40 million salary, 17 million and 5.5 the fine.
Això seria el cost del fitxatge del Neymar. I això és el que està comptabilitzat.
And that's, with some other numbers, is the cost of signing Neymar. That's been looked at by everybody, by auditors, by attorneys, and that's the cost. 5.5 million was the cost that you were referring to. The rest is for taxes in the agreement for double taxation, to avoid double taxation.
El portaveu va dir que si hi ha una segona sentència
The spokesman said if there's a second decision, that the club will go to the Supreme Court.
que no anirà al Suprem, perquè no diu que ja renuncia i es conforma amb la segona sentència, independentment de que...
Is the club going to accept? Are you talking about the Neymar case? No, I'm talking about the responsibility. The responsibility action. If Barca wants to close the court, why don't close the case? Why isn't Barca talking about the possibility of going to the Supreme Court? I've said this before. I've said it at the Delegates Assembly. Barca is not going to execute any sentence against the director. And it's something we've applied going back years. And we won't ask for permission from the Assembly. We don't want anybody to pay money out of their pocket for this. Something we've said for a long time. It's not something I'm just saying now. We said, appealing, we don't want to benefit from this money that was set aside by members. And when there's a final decision, whether it's in the appeals courts or in the Supreme Court, we're not going to make the executives pay directly. Now that we've made these agreements, if we go to the Supreme Court, because if we don't drop the appeals, Barca has to defend itself. Because there's jurisprudence
que és la primera que es fa a l'estat espanyol, la primera.
And a lawsuit.
Hi ha experiència i que serveixi per futures directives,
and
també per nosaltres com a directiva.
This is something that will serve for the future, so that we all know going into the future. It's not a condition, but if we sit down together and we agree on this, and if this is the process, it's not bad for the club to think that this law could go where it's going to go. But we're not going to ask money directly from anybody, any individual, not the directors.
Dels 6,2 milions d'euros, que serveix una part per pagar totes les despeses jurídiques de totes les parts implicades.
And in talking about Zurich and the money that was paid for legal services.
Per tant, jo aquí no hi veig cap problema ara.
So I don't see any problem. Would we like to close this case? Yeah, we prefer to do that instead of going to the Supreme Court. We have to speak with the directors. We have to sit down and see what we can agree on, but always considering the opinion of the 11 directors, because in the end, everybody's looking at this from the perspective of Barca. Everybody has the will to do it. I don't know if I answered your question. I think it was maybe too long, my answer. So you're saying if Barca wants to close the case, they won't go to the Supreme Court. But if they don't want to close it, we'll take this to the Supreme Court so that there's a final decision, not just for us, but for future directors. We want to be clear that we're not going to ask for specific sentences for directors. And it was 2 years ago when we appealed, and we renounced this guarantee. We won't execute it against you. The will of the club, not just now, but for a while. But now's the adequate time, the right time to close this issue. We don't know how long it could take. It's going to be for the good of the club. But the idea is that the law is applied in the area of sports, but without going against specific directors. Two questions. You said you won't talk about details about signing people in the winter transfer window, but what about Aleix Vidal, the possibility of him leaving? Do you think that he could be on the way out? And what does the club think about that? I think Aleix Vidal deserves respect just like every other player on the team. He's a player who plays well. We have a team. We have a long season ahead of us. Aleix has played. He played a very good game the last time he was out there, but we don't have anything on the table as far as a player leaving. Another thing is a player wants to leave. That has happened in the past. Happened with Pedro. He said, I want to go to another team. And we didn't want him to leave. But when a player asks you to go elsewhere, you listen, but we don't have anything like that on the table this January. On the contrary, this team has been constructed with the idea that players from the B team could come up and help out when they need to and go back down to the B team. And we think it's good to make sure that the players can rest when they need to. You said that one of the objectives for 2021 was the €1 billion. And you're talking about the Spy Barça project. Where is that right now? Well, the Spy Barça is without doubt our big project. I said it during the referendum. It's not. It's a club thing. It was approved by a wide majority of members, but it's a club project, and it's something we're continually working on. We're speaking with the City Council of Barcelona to talk about zoning issues so that we can move forward. We are on schedule. There are a lot of things we have to deal with regard to the Palau, the new Camp Nou. We hope that we will have the permits to build the new mini estadi in Sant Joan Despí this summer. There is a tender. I was talking to Oscar Grau about that because he's the one who's taking care of that. We will have a tender, but we will award it quickly so that in June or July, the mini estadi can be finished in a year and a half. So Barça B, the women's team, and some of the others can play the mini estadi, and they have to demolish the current mini estadi and continue the work we need to do there on the Palau. But in looking at all of this within the city of Barcelona, we are very optimistic, like we were in before. I think we're optimistic in being able to move forward with the project. We're looking at the short term right now in progressing. Everything's constantly being negotiated. But the city of Barcelona and the mayor of Barcelona, everybody has said that it's important. It's an important project, and we have to comply with all of the laws. And it's true, Barça is very important for the city and vice versa. There was an impact study done regarding Barça and the city of Barcelona. I think that 900 million euros, 16,000 jobs, direct jobs. Barça is a big contributor to the city of Barcelona, and the Espai Barça project will have issues to deal with people getting into the stadium because we're not going to close the stadium during the reform, and the sooner we begin, the better.
Portem gairebé la primera hora i queden un bon torn de preguntes, per tant, si podem limitar-ho a una aniria perfecte, però si no, escolta, anem avançant. Té la paraula ara...
We're through with the first hour.
Fins a la una, tenim una.
Fins que voleu anar a veure la roda de premsa Luis Enrique, que la fa, crec que a 2:15, em sembla. No?
A partir de la una. A partir de la una.
Ah, a partir de la una.
After this, there will be the Luis Enrique's press conference ahead of tomorrow's Copa del Rey match against Hercules, which is going to be beginning at 1 o'clock. I have two questions. I had three, but I think I'll just ask two. The first, you have regular meetings with agents and supposedly there is going to be a new format about with the Champions League and some sort of Super League that's on the table. Are you satisfied with this new format? And do you agree with creating it? And the second question is about...
No sé si vostès tenen algun tipus d'informació i com està aquest tema, si ho saben. Gràcies.
Is about something in relation to Camp Nou. We'll get to those details in a second. The first question, we're very satisfied. Barça is one of those teams UEFA listens to. It's true that there need to be some improvements to the Champions League. They have been discussed over the course of months. There are a lot of things to talk about. There will be changes to the competition to make it more attractive with different match times. The idea is to change the format so that fans get ever closer to the Champions League. And also to earn more income. There's no question that income is important in the world of football.
fer inversions de tot tipus als clubs, tots estem ficats
We
en aquesta
said that everybody
recerca de nous ingressos
is
i el nostre
involved
planejament
in
ens
this
permetrà,
search for new income.
diferents horaris de televisius,
And
patrocinadors, amb cicles,
we look at new
competició i
sponsors,
segurament
new match
que siguin
times,
més interessants, doncs, augmentar els ingressos.
and
Estem
things
satisfets,
that can
estem
help us
contents.
increase income.
La
We're
UEFA,
satisfied, we're
doncs,
happy.
bé,
UEFA
consensuada i junt i pactada,
have come
moltes reunions,
with a
que
good
no han sigut
proposal.
fàcils, hem de
There
dir,
were a
no han
lot
sigut
of
fàcils,
meetings. They were not
camí de
easy,
roses, però sí que tothom ha entès que
But-
és el camí de la nova Champions. Per tant,
but I think that this is the path of the new Champions League.
l'evolució
We're happy
continua
with
sent
it.
evolució.
There's a certain evolution here. That's true, and it will continue to evolve. Sometimes evolving is not good. Sometimes it takes you directly where you want to go, sometimes no, but we think that this is good, and we're very happy with it. The second question,
no l'he vist, aquesta notícia crònica global, desconeixem aquest tema. Nosaltres sabem que fa uns anys vam signar un acord amb una empresa que volia...
we don't know much about
els vam fer la concessió.
this case
Sabem que aquesta empresa no va aconseguir
with
els adequats,
Columbaris.
va fer uns pagaments.
There
Crec
were
que
sums
d'un milió d'euros al club, el Barça té els diners,
of money paid,
evidentment el Barça, doncs,
and
els diners no els hem gastat, els tenim guardats. Era una concessió, no sé quants anys, no ho recordo
and
ara.
I don't remember exactly how long that agreement was for,
El negoci o no aconseguir els permisos,
but the company wasn't able to get the permits.
ho desconec. No sé,
And
això
this
ja
issue
crec
with
que és una
Tony
pregunta
Fraser,
més
I don't know anything about that.
Bueno, ja ho veurem. No? Ja és
And
un
I
procés
think
que
it's
continuarà.
a process that will continue. We'll see.
Que espero que es pugui resoldre i el Barça, evidentment,
There will be people affected by it.
tot el suport del Barça amb el que
And
sobretot perquè tenim uns diners
Barca offers its support where it can.
cobrar a compte que no són nostres. Els hem de tornar al jutjat, segurament.
But there will have to be money returned, of course.
Buenas, soy Juan Jiménez de AS. Tengo tres, pero dos se contestan muy rápido, muy rápido.
Question from AS.
La primera, ¿se puede concretar al socio qué presupuesto hay para
Can
fichar en el
you
mes de
talk
enero?
about
La
the
segunda, ¿se puede concretar
budget
si han
that you
iniciado
have to
conversaciones con
sign
Rakitic?
players
Y la
in the
tercera,
winter
que
transfer
me pregunté en
window?
junio,
And
la
the second
valoración
question is
por-
about the renewal
por el
of,
secretario
sorry,
técnico
about
Robert.
Ivan Rakitic.
El Barça ha gastado
And the third
185
question,
millones de euros
Barca
los dos últimos
and the
veranos.
technical secretary.
Y Arda,
This
Leigh,
question is
Gires,
about
Tiki,
185 million euros
Denis,
having
André
been
Gómez,
spent
Alcácer y Digne, ninguno es titular indiscutible en el Barcelona.
on
Me gustaría
several
conocer el
players,
trabajo de Robert.
young players, and none of them is a clear-cut starter on the team. The first one is the easiest question.
Indiscutible, eh?
Sorry, I will answer that first. To be a starter in Barca is very, very difficult. There are great players here. There are a lot of great players here. And now some younger players have come. And we hope that with time, they will take their place on the team. But who can take playing time away from Messi, Neymar, Suarez, Piqué, Busquets? Very difficult.
Si hay trabajo, si hay esfuerzo, son jugadores
But if
jóvenes.
players work hard and there's an effort, they're young.
Ahora de 22 años,
Their average age is 22.
igual como lo han hecho ellos, ¿eh? Yo quiero
They'll get
recordar que
there.
ahora todo el mundo habla de Iniesta, ¿no? Pero
I want to
Iniesta,
remind you, but
también le
Iniesta,
costó ser titular a Iniesta.
it was tough for him to make his way into the starting lineup. Now he is.
Actualmente,
But when he was younger,
seguro que sí, Andrés Iniesta.
it was tough.
Un partidazo, ¿no?
We saw him Saturday as well. He was great.
¿De cuánto dinero hay para fichar en enero? No.
About how much money there is to sign players in January, I already said it. We don't have anything on the table.
Del equipo técnico para fichar.
Our coaching staff has not made a specific request for a player. And with regard to Rakitic, it's the same as with Ter Stegen, Iniesta, and Messi.
Evidentemente no
There are a
hay
lot of players,
obligación de en enero de renovación, sino
and we are not obligated by a time frame to re-sign them now. Rakitic is a player who's playing at a very high level,
yo no digo si lo estamos
and we
haciendo.
have all year to do it. I'm not saying we're not doing it or we're doing it, but the interest is there. We want him to stay with us.
A lo de Robert eso he dicho, lo de Robert, ¿eh? Robert sí, Robert
About the technical secretary, Robert Fernandez, he's thinking about the future.
no creo que encuentre un Messi en el mundo. Entonces,
I don't think you can find another Messi out there. That's impossible.
Laura?
Hola, bon dia, president. Laura Brugués, de TV3.
A question from TV3
sobre la grada d'animació.
about the cheering section in the stadium and about the derby and the sign that was put up and what they chanted, and then talking about Messi, his renewal. Vice President Jordi Mestre said that they were looking at this renewal for the first quarter of 2017. Can you comment on the calendar? In the board of directors, we're talking a lot about what happened in the Espanyol game. We don't want signs like that appearing or people singing things like that. We want to have respect for everybody. I think that we made an official announcement regretting the situation. Our spokesman, Josep Vives, declared that publicly. We regret it, and we apologize because it's not something we wanted to do. The same thing with Madrid. There were people who said things that shouldn't have been said. Some people were removed from the cheering section and temporarily removed. 3 games from the cheering section. And in this case, too, the social area is already speaking with people from the cheering section because that's not what we want. Camp Nou is a place of respect, absolute respect, with everybody. We regret it, very much so, and we're disappointed, and we don't want to offend anybody. We hope it doesn't happen again. We will talk about this. We hope it doesn't happen. We want Camp Nou to be an example. I've said, people go to Camp Nou with families. It's mostly good. People enjoy the show of football, and we want them not to have any problems, like when things like this happen in other leagues in other countries. And same thing with the other teams. I see fans from other teams, and there's respect. Everybody can celebrate the goals that their team scores, and there's respect, and everybody cheers for their team, and that's what we want. I don't know if that is clear to you, but in the second one, we're looking at Leo Messi and the first quarter of 2017. It's true that Jordi Mestre, the sporting vice president, said that the other day, that he hopes the renewal is done in the first quarter of next year. It's a desire. We have work to do. But we hope that that's what happens, but we have time.
Bon dia, president. Bernat Coll, de Wilova.cat. Referència a la grada d'animació, hi ha la possibilitat de
In looking at the cheering section,
les penyes integrants de la grada. S'hi ha parlat directament amb la Junta de l'Espanyol.
Have you spoken directly to the board of directors of Espanyol about what was said?
En episodis com aquests.
Bueno, li diem espai, eh? Li diem espai d'animació. Espai d'animació.
Well,
és el nom correcte.
The correct name is the cheering section, the animation space. We've always said that we want members to have their own section to cheer for the team. In general, it's working very well. There's a group of people of all ages, young people and not so young people, with freedom of expression, but we ask that people behave responsibly towards other teams, other players. Always we ask for respect, and I think that's what most culés practice. Despite what happened the other day, we like the way the cheering section is working. It's something we're talking about. I think in talking about the supporters clubs that form this cheering section. There are ongoing discussions, not every day, but maybe every other day. It's something that has to be, there have to be clear rules that are set. It's on the website, where it says how people have to behave in this section. And we want to be firm when things happen that we don't want.
No.
And have you...
A veure, l'actuació a vegades aïllada d'algunes persones no...
No, this is isolated incidents from a few people.
A vegades algun grup que en allà ens diu escolta, hi ha aquesta persona que no han actuat bé durant el partit.
If we know that this person specifically or another person didn't behave correctly during the game, we go after that person. There's a common interest here among these supporters clubs and the people that are in the cheering section. We want them to be able to cheer for our team, and there's no problem in that respect. Radio Nacional, 2 questions. One is about the sections. Nobody has asked about that, but in talking about the basketball team, and looking at the other professional teams, they look like they're doing pretty well. But in the summertime, the basketball team made some changes, and now it looks like they haven't really gotten off the ground with that so far this season. I'd like to ask you about that, and what can you say to the people at the Palau Blaugrana who have been attending these games and are watching the team and haven't seen the results that they want to see yet? Well, we worry not just about basket, about everything that goes on at the club. We try to help everybody that we can, but it's true, the basketball team had a big change with the technical director and the coach. It was a big change. The Xavi Pascual era ended, and there is a relay here, a handoff with some new players. We have trust in them. And if there's something else that we have to do to help them, we'll do it. But we also want to highlight that there have been a lot of injuries. And we hope that after Christmas, when they have more time to work together and players get back healthy, we have full trust in them. And to them we say, onward and upward. They're very good players. We have very good players. They need to keep working hard. Not that they haven't worked hard, but they need a little bit more time. We've had some very serious injuries. And with a basketball team, you can lose a couple players like that. We lost 5 at one time. That's a lot on a basketball team. That's almost half the team that's injured. So we trust the coach and the technical director, and we support them. Maybe sometimes these things happen and it serves as motivation to move forward. The question about Luis Enrique, and Leo Messi. You talked about the renewal of Leo Messi and Luis Enrique in May. But in looking at the long-term project, do you have to wait until April or May to decide whether the coach is going to continue? Because what happens if he doesn't want to resign? You have to come up with a plan in the short term for what's going to happen if the coach doesn't come back. For me, the most important thing, the role here is with Robert Fernandez, who's constantly maintaining conversations and preparing what Barca is going to look like next season. The renewal of Luis Suarez in the last couple of days is a plan, part of our plan for the future. And other players or other things that may happen in the coming weeks and months. We're working. They're working hard on this. And when we sit down with Luis Enrique in April or April and May,
com volem tots els socis del Barça, no? Que ell segueixi.
What everybody wants here, Barca. We'll look at the work that has been done, but right now we're focused on competition, and we want everybody to be relaxed and work hard and focus on the task at hand. We're not afraid of anything, but everything that we're doing with regard to the first team goes through Robert Fernandez because he knows what he's doing. He looks for consensus, and you know, he's the point man as far as leadership is concerned on that issue. The question about the action of responsibility. If Zurich, after this agreement, is going to maintain their coverage of the 6 directors. Yes, of course. Zurich will continue to be the insurance company that covers the directors. We're open to an agreement, and that's what we want, to close this issue. But, of course, they will continue covering them. The idea was this money is to cover the legal expense of everybody, directors, the club, etc. That is moving forward. The next question about this legal insecurity, I don't even understand it myself. We're talking about people's incomes. When we're talking about fiscal paradises, tax havens like Belize, Madeira, I don't understand when you talk about what players that they don't have security, because if they have to pay, they have to pay. But about the tax agency, which is the one that has the responsibility to bring these cases, do you think that the Spanish tax agency is using a double-edged sword, a double standard here on this case? I think I was clear. It's non-debatable. It was very unfair what happened to Leo Messi. When I'm talking about the Spanish tax agency, I'm talking about interpreting the rules. If they interpreted something one way not too long ago, and now they're interpreting the exact same thing differently, they're changing the rules of the game. Everybody has to play with the same rules. That creates insecurity. And I hope that players that want to come play in La Liga, they don't rethink, they have second thoughts because of the way that the Spanish tax agency applies the rules. The rules have to be followed, especially with regard to taxes. But they can't change the rules in the middle of the game.
Hola, bon dia, president. Aquí darrere. Anaïs Martí de la cadena COPE. Yo le quería preguntar si
From COPE.
límites y si les gustaría cerrar esta temporada hablando de renovaciones, las de Iniesta, las de Rakitic, incluso la de...
Would you like to end the year renewing Iniesta, Rakitic, and Ter Stegen? Would you like to end the year with those players under new contracts? Yes, we would like that. Like I always say, and I'm not going to confirm or deny, but we're always working on these situations. But of course we would like to, because they are players that are fundamental for the club. And the important thing is what a team under Albert Soler, Raul Sanllehi, and Robert Fernandez, Jordi Mestre, Javier Bordes, what they are working on. This is a team that has time to work on this and finish up this season having already made preparations for next season, and that's our objective.
Hola, President. Raúl Fuentes de Radio Marca.
A question from Radio Marca.
Por el tema de las posibles salidas que no va a...
You were asked about players possibly leaving, but in theory, according to what you said, nobody's going to leave the team. Is there any possibility of bringing in somebody? No, we don't have anything on the table. I said we don't have any requests from our evaluation team, any specific request. And if we did, I actually wouldn't tell you either way. We have to be discreet with regards to transactions that we are considering, but we can't talk about that specifically. Going back to what I said before, We have a very good team of players, the best in their positions. It's not as big, as deep as we would like. We do have players from the B team coming up to play with the first team, but I don't see players leaving or coming in. We'll see what happens in January. Robert Fernandez will be the one to make that decision. He travels a lot. He's looking at different things throughout Europe and halfway around the world, looking at different teams and players. That's his job, so that he can be informed and be up to date about any future possibilities.
Està parlant tota l'estona sobre l'acció civil de responsabilitat d'11 directius i 6. Li consta que un dels 6, que és Xavier Bagués, està al punt de passar a ser 12 i 5?
It's another question about this action of responsibility involving a group of current and former directors and some pending legal issues.
Perfecte, seria perfecte. Dic ara, escolta, aquí estem per tancar carpetes i el senyor Bagués vol tancar la carpeta, nosaltres també la volem tancar, ell ja ho sap.
If the person you refer to wants to close this case, we think it would be perfect. I think we all have to think about what's best for the club. Whether to keep or drop the appeal, we have to think about what's best for the club. And we need to agree. And I'm not just referring to the person you just referred to, but everybody. I think it's good. I think it's good for the club that we've discussed this. We're all conscious that this is a serious issue. And a lot of good work was done on this. We have to thank everybody that's worked on the club throughout all the years. And we want to leave the club in as good or better condition than when we found it. And we recognize the contributions of everybody going back years and years, decades, the presidents that served.
Fa poques setmanes va dimitir la vicepresidenta econòmica, la Susana Monge.
The economic vice president, resigned a few weeks ago, Susana Monge.
Les responsabilitats d'aquesta àrea.
És cert.
Continuarà el president amb molta feina o hi haurà un substitut?
A veure, ja vaig dir-ho, que ara no ho faria, però sí que
I said throughout 2017, I would like to have a new economic vice president. It's a complex area.
Jo he conegut molts vicepresidents econòmics.
I said it before.
Tots han fet una gran feina.
I think everybody who's worked on this area has done a great job. We're disappointed to lose her because of her work and because of the way she is as a person and what she brought to our club. And in that respect, we had a dinner the other day. She came with her husband. We recognized her work, both as a treasurer and a vice president. And I think that she contributed to a sustainable Barca, economically strong, and that has helped us to compete with a lot of other clubs in the world, and one with limited resources as well. But yes, there will be a new person in that position.
Hi ha una cosa que parlàvem ara del Xavier Bagués, perdó, que m'he oblidat, que m'han fet recordar. Recordem que els directius que ara...
Going back to your other question, I'd like to remind you that I also want to take into account what the 11 others have to say. We want consensus. We want everybody to feel like they're part of the decision, that there's a certain will to do things the right way. We want to be open. We want to close this case the right way. A question from Canal 8 al Dia. Tweet. When we were talking about freedom of expression at Camp Nou,
I assegurar al soci culer que poden llavors entrar en una estelada sense cap mena de repercussió més? Ho dic per
so you're saying that your fans can go into the stadium with a Catalan independence flag and estelada without any problem? They can physically bring it in? Yes, we talked with UEFA. It's understood, perfectly understood, that they can bring in that flag or anything that doesn't foment violence with liberty. It's been a year and a half since we've been on this issue. It's what the club wanted. We didn't just one flag. We wanted this issue of freedom of expression.
a Messi que el club li proporcionarà amb el cas que té amb la justícia.
And talking about the club helping Messi
una ajuda econòmica quan es dicti sentència.
With his legal issue, are you talking about economically? Well, with Messi, it's not exactly. We're not talking about money specifically. We're talking about, and it's not money-wise. We're talking about helping him legally, being there. We have a very good legal department that helps players on many things, along with their agents and their tax advisors.
Ricardo Rossetti de Bein Sports. Habla usted un poco
Question from Bein Sports.
Y se ha puesto encima de la mesa nombres como los de Rakitic.
And looking at Leo Messi, Rakitic, Iniesta, Ter Stegen, talk about Luis Suarez, the Espai Barça.
Estos años afrontar todas estas grandes operaciones o si en algún momento
financially is the club ready to take all of this on?
Paso con un apellido comercial para el estadio. Gracias.
Or does the club need to possibly sell the naming rights to the stadium to help pay for all of this? Well, the majority of this investment for the Espai Barça will be financed through a sponsorship naming rights for the stadium. We don't have one yet. We want to wait for the permits from the city of Barcelona so that we can get most of that money. The rest will be financed by the club itself. It'll be a more comfortable Camp Nou. And it will include a lot of other ways to get income in the future. So it's not something that's going to affect the spending on the sports side. The spending on the Espai Barça and on sports and on the club are separate things. One thing is to have financing and debt for Espai Barça. The other thing is to with the club. They will not cross paths, and they won't be mixed. They will be maintained separately. But I've said before, we have to earn income. And we won't stop until we get to the €1 billion mark in income. From Marca. There are rumors that Real Madrid will be able to sign players in summer after being sanctioned. I don't know about this. The Court of Arbitration for Sport said that? Yes. Well, we'll see. We'll talk with lawyers. It's the same law firm. We'll talk with them and see what the differences are between the two cases. I hope that there are differences, but I don't know what the differences are, if there are any. Is there a contradiction? Is there a contradiction in the fact that the club signed all these young players last summer and looking to the future, and now you're thinking about re-signing players that are older, long-term, to stay at the club? No. No, I don't think that, and talking about Luis Suarez, I don't think that this is his last contract either. I think that he'll have another one coming up after that. But in looking at how they work, they're very professional. And I don't think that there's any problem with that.
Míriam Nadal, per Barça TV, dues qüestions. Una primera, aquest 2016 s'han intentat tancar carpetes, algunes s'han tancat. No sé si
In 2016, the club is trying to close up things on the legal front. And how do you feel about having made the effort to and been able to close up things on the legal front in 2016? Yes, it's true. We've been facing legal issues in recent years, not necessarily any more than in previous years before that. Barça has always had issues like this. Since Núñez and Montal and Gaspar and Joan Laporta and Sandro. Rosé, there were always legal issues, and it's not really that it's much more than in previous years. And others have been closed up as well. But in this area, we are trying to sew things up so that we can focus more on other areas, specifically on sports. And that helps us. And more importantly than closing up things on the legal front is to make sure that other things don't open up by doing things the right way. Some things are out of our control as well. And looking at this other issue that was mentioned before about a company that things didn't work out for them, but Barça had set aside money for them, things that are out of our control. But we're trying to clean things up as best we can and do what's best for our club. But we also have to make sure that we don't create new issues. You've also done a lot of other good things, like the agreement with Rakuten, Nike, UNICEF, the opening of the office in New York. Is there one piece of news that you would take as the best of the year? And what does it look like, the outlook for the club in 2000 in general? What do you say in general for 2016? A lot of great snapshots. The Empire State Building in New York being lit up in Blaugrana. But I think the Masia 360 for our young athletes, which represents a big development for La Masia and the future of the young athletes in our club. I think that for me, that's the most important thing. Of course, we want everybody to be healthy so that we can continue winning and win more in the future. Can you say that renewing Messi is the primary objective for 2017? It's an important objective. I don't know if I'd say the prime objective, but it's very important. Messi's the best player in the world. I'll say it again. Everybody insists on asking this question, but he's happy here. This is his club. These are his colors. I think when you look at the feeling between the player and the club, I'll say that it's very, very important. We don't have to put things on a first, second, third in order of priorities and objectives. Everything is important. And I think the idea of having Leo Messi be with us for the rest of his career and to help us continue building this club and making history. He's young still. He's only 29, and he has a lot of football left in him. And we want him to play that football here. And in the other areas, what are the objectives, the main objectives for 2017? The FECB Universitas is one that comes to mind. And this idea of education in sport, we haven't really explained it completely yet. We've made a presentation. We'll do another one in February to explain further. But it's one of those projects that I think that will make Barça more admired in the world in the future and beloved in the world of sports, because we want to teach people here in Barcelona, online, through important prestigious universities in the world, sports marketing, with relation to sports performance. I think that that's the big challenge that we have in 2017. I would like that to keep be developed. We have students already. I would like more. Well, for me, I think that that's what I would like to see, besides winning titles, of course. We would like to win titles. The football team, the basketball team, handball, the futsal team. We want them to win everything. Of course, we know that it's very difficult. Sports is very difficult, but that's our prime objective. But non-sports related, the FCB Universitas, I think some people also call it Barça Universitas. It's an ambitious project, and if Barça and Barcelona, the city, can be a global hub of sports knowledge where people want to come here and learn, I think that it's a very generous project, and it's something that we want to transmit to the world. Of course, it will force us to innovate. Knowledge will go both ways. It'll come in and go out. It will make the club better. And it will help Barça be a contributor to the world of knowledge. I think that all the media outlets that are represented here in the room have asked at least one question. If I forgot someone who wants to ask a question and they would like to do it, please speak up. If not, there's still 20 minutes left before the end of the hour that I said, the time limit. There are a few more questions, 4 more questions or 5 questions that we can ask these 5 last questions. The last 5. Here's the first one from Rack 1. I want to ask about the cheering section. We learned from the Josep Vives, the spokesman, that some people were ejected from that area. Can you expound on that? No. We do not let any violent people get into this section. It's coordinated with the Mossos d'Esquadra, the police. It's roped off. Members of Barça come there to cheer on the team. We don't want problems. The ones that were ejected, it's because they didn't behave. There are rules. I'm not going to tell you who exactly they were, but they'll be ejected for 3 games. They won't be allowed in. But there's a commitment when people come into the stadium, when you go to someone's house, when people come into your house. There is a code of responsibility and behavior, and there are rules, and if people don't comply with the rules, they have to pay the price. But the relationship with the police is very good, and the club's security force is very good. But what we want is the players and the coaching staff to feel the passion from our cheering section and to be the 12th man out on the field. And regarding the relationship with the club and Qatar, you were in Qatar a few days ago. Can we talk about Qatar and possible naming rights for the stadium In relation to the naming rights, we haven't actually began looking for a sponsor until the city of Barcelona approves the construction of the stadium. I think that that's the job of the commercial and marketing area. I think they said that we weren't looking at Qatar Airways as the name of the stadium, but they could be our official airline. Years ago, Turkish Airlines was the official airline of the club. Well, why can't Qatar Airways be that sponsor? There will be a time to talk about that, and we will speak with them about that. The relationship is good, and it's open. But I think that that would be a good way to continue our relationship between the club and Qatar Airways. A question from Goal.com. Could you clear up the second Neymar issue? Because the first Neymar issue talks about the money that Neymar's father made, 40 million euros, or the salary of the player, and that there was a commission involved when the prosecutor talks about this having an impact on the market, regardless of whether it's salary or transfer fees. Does Barca have another defense prepared? Because it looks like this doesn't really square up with the case. In the world of football, I have to be clear, players play where they want to play. The market is open, they can choose where they want to sign. Neymar chose Barca, and Barca paid money to him, his father. But that money is also part of salary for Neymar. But the player played where he wanted to play. He had other offers, he chose ours. So you used a word that the market was, that it kind of fixed the market. No. Neymar was a Santos player. He left Santos, he chose Barca. No, there are clauses to block players, and the players can pay those rescission clauses, and they go pay somewhere else. If they pay, they can leave. But there are clauses. But clauses themselves don't block the market. But in the end, the players play where they want to play. Barca didn't obligate the player to play here. I think, just like you, you're not obligated to work where you are working. It's the same thing here. The players go to play where they want to play, and with Neymar, that's the way it was. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to continue on with this case, because the defense is very easy. He wanted to play where he wanted to play. There's nothing else to say. It's not like he was obligated to play for Barca. A question from Onda Cero. Some news has come out during this press conference. We're talking about two big clubs like Real Madrid and Barca, who, in dealing with young players with the same law firm, dealt with this. Is it almost unbelievable? But I don't know really the ins and the outs of the case with Madrid. I know that they were sanctioned for similar issues, but because we're dealing with the same law firm, it'll be easy to just go up to them and ask them and say, what's the difference between one case and the other? Because if it's exactly the same, the sanction should be the same. And if there are differences, well, then the sanction will be different. So we will ask them. We don't have any problem with asking them.
Hola, buen día. Andrés Corpas del diario El Mundo. Des que es va
From El Mundo.
Neymar, en la presentació vostè estava aleshores com a vicepresident.
And looking again at the Neymar case,
De preu de traspàs com 57,1,
57 millions, 85 million, 19 million, and 22.5 million. All these numbers that come out, will there be another one that comes out?
I si això li sembla seriós, això
And
d'una banda.
can people take it seriously?
L'altra, vostè va guanyar les eleccions, les últimes
And on the other hand,
amb un eslògan que era trident i triplet. A hores d'ara,
you won
quin seria el seu eslògan?
you won the last elections
No, l'eslògan no era
with the slogan, the treble. No, the slogan was trying to grow Barca.
Ja estava molt bé, no?
Well, the treble was good. We had just won it. Looking at the numbers with Neymar,
L'estiu que va arribar aquí,
when we presented him, the number was 57.1 million or 57 million, which was the transfer fee.
que aquests 40 milions...
Then there were 40 million paid to Neymar's father, which was the player's salary. So the actual number went down to 17 million euros. And then looking at the fine that we had to pay to the tax agency, which is 5.5 million, you have to add that. That was the cost of the transfer, and that's the cost that Barca has to depreciate according to the accounting rules, accounting principles, and that's the way it is. I hope that they don't change this number once again. But those are the numbers that are in Barca's books. That's the way it was in 2015, 30th of June. It has been altered, and now it's 17 million plus 5.5, which is 22.6. And I said 17.1 because it was based on what the club was going to accept from the judge, but that was accepted. So now we have to add the 5.5 to this year, to the accounting.
Nosaltres no haguéssim mai començat cap cas Neymar 1, ni 2, ni 3.
We didn't begin these cases, these Neymar case 1, 2, 3. We just want the player to play, and then people stop making these complaints. But we're not the ones who put this out there. But that's where it went, and the tax agency decided that this is what had to happen. No, I said it before. Our slogan was, keep winning and keep growing. That was the slogan.
Treball, molt treball.
Work, hard work. Barca is a club that everybody loves.
Tenim molta il·lusió.
We are very passionate about it, and we decided a year and a half ago, from 2017 to 2021, that what we're working on, the directors, the executives, the club employees, are working on the strategic plan. That's our plan. Take a look. We're talking about a Barca club that's ever more present around the world, with offices, with FCB Escolas. When we're talking about Barca, we're talking about a Barca that's becoming more important in the world.
Tornem a les xifres de Neymar, perquè vostè...
Looking back at the numbers for Neymar, you said now they're 22.6 million because it's 17.1 plus 5.5 of the fine. But in summer you said it was 19 because there were 2 million for the Ballon d'Or. Wait, excuse me, sorry. It's true. There are 2 more million for the Ballon d'Or. 17.1 plus 5.5 plus 2 and something for the Ballon d'Or, because we have to pay that to Santos. No, and going back to the thing with FIFA, I think in the next few days, you'll know. They'll explain the differences between Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, and Barca, and the sanctions. I think beyond that, I can't discuss now. Yes, sorry, excuse me. And the second question was if you could explain the issue of the game with the Dream Team, the ex-players, and the tribute to the Dream Team. No, that's part of the events of 2017, which is the 25-year anniversary of the first European Cup of Barça, which was also the same year as the Olympic Games. I think that Barça wants to collaborate with the city of Barcelona on this celebration. But I refer to the first European Cup and events at the museum with the club and others. And one of those was to play a game between the Dream Team and among the Dream Team and players, other players from those times. It's something we're working on. But I can say that I said that would be at the end of the season, after the season, because all the players, right now, they're players and they're coaches and they work for other clubs. They need to have free the day of that game to be able to play that game at Camp Nou. We have 9 more questions, 9 more minutes for the last 3 questions.
Perdó, abans de continuar, en Joan Domènech, dir-li, Joan, faltaven 2 milions de la
I just want to say to you, Joan Domènech, we had to add those 2 million from the Ballon d'Or.
Joan I jo portem ja molts mesos
No, Joan and I have been talking about these numbers. 17.1 plus 5.5 plus 2. That's what's in Barca's books for 2016-2017.
No, però allò... No.
No.
Però allò incluïa...
No, but that included the salary of the player,
els partits amistosos...
friendlies.
Té un cost que té una repercussió, un ingrés. Per tant,
But, you know, the friendlies reflect income. We'll sit down together one day and we'll talk about that together. For me, it's clear, because I think that the club's auditors, the club's accountants, and the legal department of the club is very good, and I think that they've done it the right way. And for me, it's clear. Yes, 2 questions. What about the versions? On one hand, Neymar costs Barca more than 100 million euros, which I don't believe. Of course, I don't believe that. Of course, I'm saying he cost 17 plus 5 plus 1. And that's what is reflected in the books. They've said it all day today, and that's what we have to go based on.
Lo digo sobre todo si lo comparamos que posteriormente se fichó a Suárez por unos 80 más o menos.
And then it's said that Suarez cost 80 million later. Every player has their price because the transfer fee and salaries. If a player comes to Barca from outside, there's a cost. But we amortize it, we depreciate it throughout the years of the contract. And in the Suarez situation, it was based on 5 years of depreciation. And it will end up being longer than that because of the renewal. But we do this with every player. And what it's all about is it's what each player brings. And I'm not worried about what Luis Suarez cost. That's what it cost. That's what it cost at the time. And we're happy with that he left Liverpool to come here. And another question that we haven't quite resolved in Barca, it's been 3 years since Rosé left Barca. Why? Can we know why he resigned? Well, I don't know specific reasons. But I think that I'll believe what he said, his reasons for leaving, and that's it. Those are his personal reasons. And they're his. They're legitimate reasons, and you have to respect what people say. Susana Monge left the position of economic vice president. Other people, Javier Faust, decided to not come back for re-election. You have to respect their decision. These are not salaried positions. People came here to help Barca grow. Presidents, directors, every employee has helped Barca become what it is, to be a leader in world sports, not just now, but for many years. When someone leaves, no problem. Barca is very big, and I'll leave one day, and there will be another president, and Barca will be even better than it is now. Last question from Miriam
Li preguntava per les notícies més
from Barca TV.
també n'hi ha hagut de tristes o de negatives.
Besides positive news in the year, there have also been sad news for the years. One of the biggest, if not the biggest, was the loss of Johan Cruyff.
En un reconeixement per sempre per Johan Cruyff. Com està aquest tema?
Is the club thinking about another tribute for Johan Cruyff? It's true, the death of Johan Cruyff was not just a loss for everyone at Barca, but everyone around the world, and also Manel Vic. I would have to include in that list. But we have to recognize the contribution of everybody, and Johan Cruyff contributed greatly to what is the current Barca. Manel Vic too. Camp Nou was always a familiar place for people with the voice of Manel Vic. With Johan Cruyff, we've had a series of conversations. The family has made a proposal to the club for some sort of permanent tribute to Johan Cruyff, and we're looking at it, we're talking about it, and we hope that one day we can sit back down together and decide if it's something we want to do. And if we do it, we will do it in agreement with them, and it will be under consensus with the Cruyff family. It's something that's very recent. It hasn't even been 1 year since he passed away, but it will be something that goes forward forever. He's a person who we know not just as a professional, but he was a husband, he was a grandfather, he was a father. It was a big loss. But we have to decide what's the best for the future memory of Johan Cruyff. Okay, well, I think that's going to wrap it up. There's still 3 more minutes, but I think that what we want, there's a lunch now, but for those who can't come, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we hope that next year is better than this one. This one was pretty good.
Tu quina nota li poses a l'any? Ja ho dic ara, jo li poso un 8. Aquesta nota, per tant, ha sigut un any.
A grade for the year, I would give us an 8 out of 10 on the year,
No tots els que volíem.
which is a good grade. We didn't get everything that we wanted.
No, 8, he dit un 8,
I said 8. I would give us an 8 over 10 for 2016, and we hope that 2017, we want to improve this grade for the year. And we hope that we can achieve all the goals that we set for ourselves in 2017. It's very difficult, it's very ambitious to do so, but we will do everything we can to achieve that. When we do something, we want everybody to talk about it. We would like constructive criticism. We would like to discuss it among everybody, because this is something that helps us to reflect on specific topics, because we are not correct about everything. But Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you. And that wraps it up for President Bartomeu's annual review. Thanks for listening.